What is up, everybody? My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid, and you are watching DO Live, a daily stream show. We talk about game design. We have a Discord. You can find all the links on our website, designoriented.net. We're in the middle of a series talking about combat, and in that series, we're in the middle of a sub-series talking about skill. We did knowledge to start. We followed that up with dexterity, and now we're on timing. So, as I explained before, let's see. There's a whole skill spectrum system that I created, and it goes by the name of the D-cart system. And what's cool about this system is the D stands for dexterity, K knowledge, A adaptation, R reflex, and T for timing. And it's a system I made to try to more accurately describe the kinds of skills that we bring to various activities, particularly any activity, not just video games, but anything that we do. So I find this system incredibly useful, and I've been using it for a long time. Each facet has sub-facets, so if you have any questions about that, I'm going to display this chart, but there's links that I can give you that can also explain all that. So here's the chart. Let's see. Right here. Chart, D-cart, rhymes all the time. Subfacets, as you can see, are right there. You can read them a little bit easier here. We're going to talk about timing in a second. The original article I wrote this series for, this is part 10 of that series, talking about the skill of timing. I'll put the links in the description as always. And here's some ways to break it down. Here is the download link to a game that my brother and I made a long time ago, 2010, about 8 years ago. Jeez. To showcase and demonstrate this particular system and this way of breaking it down. We made these mini games to test these various aspects of your timing. We'll go over my scores in a second. The download links here is PC only. And what else do I want to go over? Nothing. So, timing is a skill. What did I call it? Let me just read what I wrote. Let's see what I wrote. Time is a factor that permeates all 5 types of skill. Time is the difference between short-term and long-term memory, kind of. Stamina measures how long you can execute an action. Reflex is a skill that deals with comprehending and reacting to elements in a very small amount of time. And the quicker one can adapt, the more effective their adaptation skills are. Still, the factor of time is very different from the skill of timing. Timing is easy to understand. In some of the most simple cases, having good timing involves doing an action after a specific period of time has passed. Keeping a steady rhythm involves repeating an action with an equal amount of time in between every action. Perhaps we develop a keen sense of timing and rhythm because there are so many cyclical timing elements in our natural lives. From our heartbeats to the days of the week, our brains have been tuned to pick up on time-sensitive patterns. So I created these 6 subfacets to talk about it, maybe better illustrated here. But static timings are repeated rhythms, like clapping to the beat, the unchanging beat at that, something that's a very specific timing no matter how many times you hear it. Kind of like my go-to example is the Falcon Punch. In a game of Smash Brothers, when you hear Falcon say Falcon, you know it's going to be followed by Punch, and that timing is the same every time, except for, in Brawl and Smash 4, they added the ability for him to switch directions, and it kind of lengthens the punch part. But as far as him punching you standing on one side of his body, there's only one timing that he can possibly do it in. So that's kind of cool. External timing involves extrapolating the timing of things based on external stimuli, most likely watching things, right? When somebody's about to collide into somebody else walking down the street, when a ball's about to roll into the wall or into a hole in golf or fall into the net in basketball, we extrapolate the timing of things based on based on our visual stimuli and our knowledge of the world around us, as we've gotten used to things like gravity and things like that. Internal timing is a sense of timing that you have within yourself with no external stimuli. So if somebody just said count to 10 right now in 10 seconds, and it's quiet, you'd be able to be like, and 10, like right there, without counting on your fingers or doing anything else, mostly just your internal sense of timing. There's a really interesting mini game. Let me see if I can find it. Whoop. A Majora's Mask, where they ask you to time the guy's stopwatch. So Majora's Mask timing game. Postman. It's with the postman. Yeah, here it is. Let's just go ahead and give this a watchy watch. Quick video, Postman, Legend of Zelda. You have to have the bunny ears, you find him, he asks you to stop exactly 10 seconds, that's why I said 10 before. You have to stop at exactly 10 seconds. If you fail to do this the first time, you can try again, but it'll cost you money. Somebody said something about how the frame rate of the game is inconsistent, so stopping it exactly on 10 seconds is a little bit less skill based than it may seem, but who cares? I did it as a child, and I thought this challenge was very interesting. Where? You better get to the guy. There he is. 4, 5, 6. Whoa, those ears. Are they? Oh, they're fake. Don't disturb my training. In my mind, I'm running for exactly 10 seconds without looking at a clock. I was in the middle of mental training. You may make fun of me, but this is quite difficult. Would you like to try? Press A to start, count 10 seconds, and the precise moment you think to hit 10. And then they start you off like a good old rhythm heaven game. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, they even give you the timer in this one. I thought you had to count inside your head, but you can watch it or something like that. Good old timing challenges. Da 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 da. There we go. Cool. So back to the chart. Acceleration and deceleration is our ability to track largely static timing, but just in general the timing of things that are the rate at which is being accelerated or decelerated. Music does a really good job of that. We slow down at the end of really dramatic parts. We speed up in other differently dramatic parts, and music oftentimes changes tempo and things like that. So a key part of life, right? Running faster, accelerating your car, changing of these timing rates is a highly important and core timing skill facet, so I put it there. Complex timing is the opposite of static. It involves just about everything that isn't a simple repeating rhythm or a simple set timing for something. Like offbeats and syncopated rhythms and swung beats and jazz rhythms and just kind of randomy rhythms. It all falls under this category. And then tracks is your ability to keep track of multiple things of timing at once and not sort of cross the stream. So with that said, I'm going to jump into some demonstraciones right here. And just like last time, I'm going to click here, do Kirby Kid. I love this song. Love this song. This part's so hard in the piano. I love that song. So here are the different games. Game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and back to the main menu. Each of them stress a different combination of timing skills, as you can see here. We've provided a nice and easy to understand chart. So we're going to start off in the beginning. Steady, slow, and be quiet. So the basic structure, as you can see here, is what is it? Press A to begin. I'm assuming I press the A button to continue this. This UI is so good. And then you press the button when it hits the red, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. So, blind mode toggle. Don't you love it when I keep building the same features into all my games? Okay, so in this you're doing the same steady beat, but the window to land it, oops, I said retry. It gets smaller and smaller. Okay, so I think medium. What is this? 3. 1, 2, 3. And it's on easy right now. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Messed it up right when I got to medium, you jerk. Then the idea is you can blind toggle this and try it again. And it's the same roll, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, even on easy, I did not do a good job of that. Retry. I don't know what the UI is doing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And a little off on that one. So obviously without the external stimuli, I had to keep track of the timing entirely in my head. It keeps track of that. If you go back to the menu here, each of these has a blind option, I think. So when you go from blind to not, it's going to test internal versus external. So here's steady medium beat and here's a steady fast, just to demonstrate. Let's go. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Was it slowing down? Who knows? Back to the menu, and here is the same test with steady fast. So 1, 2, 3. 1. And it doesn't start counting against you until you can get 2 right in a row, which is feels like the time is changing, but it's probably me reacting to my own sad little inputs. So that you get the basic idea there. Timing challenges, nothing too crazy. Then we have steady drop. So this is going to be internal and static. And all you do is hit the button on the red square. So let's see what happens. What happened? Is the beat really inconsistent? What's happening? Let's try it again. Not the best sound effects. Oh no! Whoa! Step event, object metronome 2, error. If played 2, I abort. Let's ignore it. Ignore it. Wow. So my brother coded that game 8 years ago, so we can blame him. Blame him for that little interruption. It's loading back up. Let's skip that one. So this is tempo up and down. I think it starts up at 64 beats per minute, and then it changes, and it gives you visual stimuli right there, or visual feedback for what the change is going to be, so you're not taken by surprise. It's really only trying to test what your timing skills are. that terrible sound effect, even though I just completed it and I didn't fail out. So the strictness of the windows to hit the red box is displayed here. Very hard is like 1 or 2 frames or whatever in 60 frames. So very, very strict timing. It'd have probably been better if it sped up and then stopped at a steady beat at the bottom and slowed down and stopped at the top instead of like rebounding like that, but who cares? It still tests your timing. So changing tempo, this is steady tempo, up, down. This is, see how much of the spectrum here it stresses, internal, external, not so much static, but a little bit of everything else. So it's a steady tempo up and down, and do I have to hit L for stuff? Bug. Stop it. Stop. Whatever. So that one was 2 different tracks going at the same time. You have to hit one with one hand and the other with the other. But one stays steady and the other one goes up and down in tempo. So that's why obviously it stresses tracks here. To keep track of that, you have to be like, oh, I can hear in my mind which one's not changing. I can separate which one is changing and to coordinate my muscles accordingly. This is 2 versus 3. It's a complex rhythm. Basic exercise you see in a lot of just piano books. Press A to begin. Practice each row first. A top row, L second row. Fun. A little confusing, but the A is going on, which one was which? Let's retry. The A should be the, I was trying to practice each row. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bottom hand's bottom line is in 3, so it's 2 versus 3 basically. Like that. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. Just kind of the basic exercise that you might see in like drum practice or piano or whatever. This is 3 versus 5. Same idea. 3 on the top, 5 on the bottom, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, the top line's 5 and the bottom line's 3? I guess that makes sense. 3, 4, then It doesn't matter. And then falling targets. These are some that are more like video games. You press A, you press the correct button when the box hits the line. What is it doing? You're not supposed to start without me. What are you doing? So like this is A, and you see the perfect score right there, and then perfect score. Oh. Missed. Yeah, that one's fun. So it gives you the count at the top. Oh, bad. And you're supposed to see the external timers and sort of figure out how that should change the way you play. Oops, panicked. It's kind of easier with two hands. Oh, I was too late on that one. By a little bit. Blind is even more fun with this one, right? So you see it at first. Heh, bad. I just pressed it, trash. No! You don't have a lot of time to internalize it. Let's try that again. Blind, please. No! That's so discouraging. No! Wow, too hard. And the final game. Random rhythm. So the bar is going to go down. You're supposed to hit the red one as always, but it's going to randomize which red ones you need to hit. You just press A and you do it. Listen first, repeat the rhythm on the second pass. This is round 2, you listen. I swear it's slowing down. Round 3, listen. I'm supposed to listen. Nice and clean on that one. Yeah, the interface and the UI got some problems, but the basic ideas are here. You get all your blind scores over here, you get all your default scores over here, and that's how it determines sort of external versus internal mainly. I love this song though. Thank you, Chopin. So, let me just get rid of this. Remove. So my scores that I took a while ago, a long time ago, are posted on the blog. You know, you can practice these as many times as you want, trying to get it as good of a score as you can on each of them. And when it comes down to it, like I got a perfect score on the falling targets one, because you can get good at that. That's video games. Just watching something and timing it. The blind is much harder. My best was 105, was just right here. I can draw on the screen, can't I? My best score is right there. It's 105. But you know, it's not easy. I don't even know if there's issues with like how quickly the keyboard gets the signal to the computer or what might cause it to slow down. It was just a really neat idea we tried to go for. This one feels much less solid than the other two, but that's fine. I think for reflex we get back into solid territory, so knowledge and reflex may be the most easily understood and well executed of these 4 games. Yeah, but timing skills like crazy, right? Musician, it's much easier you practice this stuff all the time. The music you play, if it's complex enough, you are doing a lot of this. When you're playing piano, you're doing fugues and inventions. You're doing multiple melodies with multiple hands, and sometimes the same hand. You got to keep track of all that. I kind of went over that in the dexterity video. Internal timing, when you play, it's all you, man. External, you don't really have that much of that. I guess when you're playing the violin, you can look at how far your bow is or where other visual things you can react to when you're playing. That's cool. You can look at the players around you when you're in an orchestra and see how they're moving and where their bow is and figure things out. Static timing, you know, music in general to the beat, and accelerating and decelerating is common, crescendos and stuff in music. And then complex timing is music, so good luck with that. Scores are pretty solid here. So I guess one thing I'll add to this stream is that timing is a big deal. Space is a big deal. Timing's a big deal. You have a lot of different ways you can convey meaningful patterns and structure with timing alone. When you have space and time working together, you really have a strong foundation to do a lot with your gameplay. You can express a lot of different ideas by changing the positions of things in space or changing the timing in which they move, the speed in which they move. And you have just a rich landscape to encourage or have the player predict or project interactions just by how things are moving, right? 2 cars going at each other on the road where like you're anticipating them colliding. So that's something that you can do and extrapolate that timing based on what you see and the space that it's represented and the how that's moving. So timing is a big deal. It's super engaging. What's interesting about timing is it's a skill that can never be compressed. Like the whole point of timing is that it takes time, not that you can understand that it takes time. So feeling the beat actually requires you to spend that time consciously feeling it. Your sense of internal timing isn't, I'm really good at thinking at 60 beats per minute. It's no, I have to express internal timing in your mind is beat, 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 beat. Not the concept of doing a beat, but it's the actual structure and the conscious activity of maintaining that beat in real time. So that's a really neat reason why real-time combat games that feature time and space and have characters moving around and potentially throwing off attacks and things like that, it's really has a distinct mark as a gameplay experience. Like, for what the D-card spectrum gives us, there are so many ways to, like I said before, present challenges and express ideas just having objects moving in space. Shoot 'em ups are a genre where a ship flies through a space and the bullets that are coming in can make all kinds of different patterns and challenges and timing challenges, and even something as simple as Mega Man, like I was showing you before in the stream. Being able to jump at different heights and shoot your buster shot, your lemons, is highly varied, right? And executing that
sure, like you're just tapping buttons, so it's not that big of a deal dexterity wise, but timing wise, you're fully engaged, and that's why aiming is so engaging. You get a game like a shooter, you get a game like something like Arms, where you're aiming your punches and you're trying to adjust the aim as it goes along. You get a game like Mega Man, you get a game like Smash Brothers, and you're trying to aim your character in 2D space while managing your analog control horizontally and your more coarse control vertically, and you've got a fully engaging base for your gameplay that never gets old. Like your brain never stops. I just feel like you don't compress and sort of compartmentalize quality engaging interaction like that like you would other things, right? So, if you memorize something, if you learn it before, while it used to stress your working memory or whatever, when you finally learn it, it's like no big deal. Like you haven't memorized it. You learn the alphabet, you learn lyrics to a song, you learn something. That struggle that was there is no longer felt, and you're just like, it's just, it like the back of your hand. But timing, like I said before, your understanding of it and your conscious processing of it requires doing it in real time. So you're always sort of engaged in the moment, and what happens is always sort of transpiring in front of you instead of just like, yeah, I memorized that a long time ago. It's kind of similar with reflex. The reflex is about understanding things in a small moment of time. We'll talk about that later. But timing is the thing, and engaging with it and expressing it are both required of time. And reflex is like, despite giving you a little time, can you understand what the thing is based on its complexity, which is the knowledge, building the knowledge in an instant. Yeah. So, rhythm action games are my favorite type of timing in games, as far as, or they're like the most efficient genre. What we got here? Let's blow this up and have a little chat. Rhythm action games. So like the Rhythm Heaven series. I did a DO video a long time ago about Rhythm Heaven. I did 2 videos, which I guess I'll show you if at all possible. It's back when I was producing videos instead of doing streams, because that's just what I wanted to do. But doing these streams is much easier than spending an entire day producing these videos. But let's just slap this over here. So yeah, Design Over Time. There's 2 videos. One is right here. Design Over Time Mega Mix Deep Dive. It's a super deep dive into the various timing challenges presented in Rhythm Heaven. And here's another one. Mega Mix over here. So this, if I just click on it right here, as you can see, I'm discussing this entire spreadsheet that I wrote to articulate the varied timings and the interesting, unique timings of all the challenges in this Mega Mix game, which is hundreds, maybe 100 of these timing-based mini games. And I organize all the data to show you its design space and the variety there. This video is like 30 minutes of me explaining it, so I'm not going to do it anymore. But yeah, oops, don't do stuff like that. A lot of the work I do like this now just goes straight into the projects that I'm working on. Here for that. Stop talking, Richard. So if you are interested in that, I will put the link in the description. Wow, where's my beat is? Stop. And there's a specific column. Stop talking. Go back again. Yeah, and you can DO on YouTube. You can click this link right here, and it'll take you to it. And you scroll down all the way. I think I have a playlist for it. Do I? Designing Over Time. DO channels. Nope, I don't have a playlist. Haha, I should make one. So Rhythm Heaven, Guitar Hero, I like a lot. I still have my plastic guitar somewhere. But they did a really good job, despite having sort of really generous windows for the pressing of buttons. They really did a good job making note tracks for really amazing music, and yeah, the variety there in the note tracks and the guitar, the controller feel of shifting around the guitar and playing it. Good stuff. Elite Beat Agents and Owindon's a really solid rhythm action game for the DS touchscreen. Did a really good job. The At Rhythm, pretty cool. Put about 35 hours into that recently. Cool music. The actual interface, the buttons and things for this game have a few minor issues. Harmonite was a neat game but had minor issues and kind of simple overall. Much more simple than these other ones, believe it or not. I like Dance Dance. The harder difficulty levels in Dance Dance kind of lose the dancing feel. So I feel like at the highest level, Guitar Hero is just really good guitaring and solid gameplay. So it's Rhythm Heaven and even Owindon, when the buttons are really small, it's still good. But Dance Dance, when you get on the highest levels, it kind of breaks down to a whole screen of arrows, and you're just like moving around kind of like spastically just to hit the things in time. So not so much. Jam with the Band was a really cool idea with the DS. Not really a rhythm action game. It actually what was I supposed to put here? This is supposed to be not Jam with the Band. What's the one with the you could play like 8 DSs together and download play and play it all together? This is Jam with the Band is a music game. It should go over here. Oh no, that's Jam Session. So it really was called Jam with the Band? Oh, yeah, it was called Jam with the Band. What a crazy game. This game was crazy. Whoa. This crazy bat chick playing her guitar. What a strange mascot. But this game was like, oh, you want to do button-based music rhythm on the DS?
Hey, girl.
Be quiet. And then they give you these tiny little note tracks to play, like Y, X, A, B, left, right, up, down, L, and R, and sometimes together. So, let's listen to the Millie.
What's nice is
No, they're still talking. So, yeah. They have a lot of different songs from like Nintendo things and some anime, ADS classic, but then you can download play to eight other DSs and play together. And the super hard songs on this, like the Star Fox thing, were ridiculous. Like there's no way you should be manipulating your fingers like that for this game. Like no thank you. It's a little bit of a stretch for what the game had to offer. But let's see if I can show you one of my videos for Jam with the Band. Where is it? This is my personal channel, and I put a lot of videos on this about video games over the years and some podcasts. But the one that I thought was neat, here, Jam with the Band. So I spent like 5 hours or something inputting the song into the Jam with the Band. Every note, every rhythm, I listened to the Jason Mraz song, and then like one hand by hand. This is one of the best sheet music sort of editors I've ever used. I haven't used that many, but still, I liked it a lot. So I dropped my top. Listen, I'm Mingo. Is everybody ready for the single? And it goes. Look at all those crazy rhythms. To imitate the voice of Jason Mraz singing here, look at all these strange notes. And one of the last tracks I did for this was the drums, so I had so much fun just inputting and listening very closely to every tiny little flourish in the song. I've never listened to the songs that closely before, but when you're trying to recreate it, you can't miss a single detail. It was a lot of fun. Make my fucking one-hit wonder. Gotta find another way to keep from going under. And I had to pick like which instruments were actually in the song and which ones sounded good and which one was good for a voice. Obviously, I think it's a violin. Violin is said to mimic the human voice well, so. But Jason Mraz's octave, I had to do this in a higher octave, I think. I build a bridge across my stream of consciousness. It always seems to be a flowing, and I don't know which way my mind is going. All the rhyming and the timing, it's the melodies inside me, and they're coming. Till I'm running out of air. Are you prepared to take a dive into the deep end of my head? Have you been listening to a single word I said?
And there's even like a little skip there in the bass line in the real song, so I put it in.
That was fun. I did this in 2006, so I can't believe it. It's 12 years ago. I've been doing this too long.
So, I don't know if you had any questions about timing. Kind of what I was saying before. Turn-based games don't stress the skill spectrum like real-time games do. That's why most games are real-time and why most games feature space and time. This entire spectrum, if you just make a turn-based game, you don't have timing, you don't have reflex, and you don't have dexterity. So all you really have is knowledge and adaptation, and the adaptation really isn't as pronounced because you're only dealing with one facet of skill. That's why the A is a rainbow. It really is. Adaptation is your ability to use certain facets and subfacets of your skill to compensate for lacking or changing other facets. So if you're like running out of stamina, do you use your knowledge, your short-term memory or your long-term memory to analyze the situation and come up with a new way to not need to use stamina? Maybe it involves using your reflexes and increasing and changing the sort of stimuli that you look for in your reflexes in order to that your timing doesn't need to be so strict, which makes your muscles less strict, right? Or muscles less tense. So that's just like an easy example of like, oh, everything in your skill spectrum can be connected. Yes, everything sort of takes some understanding, some knowledge or whatever. And yes, mind and body may be really closely associated to where there's no point in creating this huge conceptual separation, but breaking things down like this allows you to really articulate some cool stuff. And it really helps you understand why certain people are different and how they get the job done and how there's so much variation to the kinds of skills you can bring to the table to get the same task done. If you're just like, well, did you do it or not? Did you pass or fail? That's so binary, and this is such a spectrum. That's why, I use all the colors and I use all the language and the words and the measurements and the facets and the subfacets. So timing skills is amazing. Combat oftentimes utilizes these sort of the complex matrix that is interrelated coordinates in a spatial plane, and those things moving through time, which is why space and time are so interesting, and they make interesting challenges out of it. They make highly varied and interesting challenges, and oftentimes with combat games you are constantly managing and engaging and dealing with it. That's why turn-based games don't do that. So you got your what do we got? Turn-based. What do we got? Games like Advanced Wars. I love Advanced Wars. It's my favorite strategy game. They don't stress any of that at all. It's all just up in your head. Your sense of timing can be like, oh, in this many turns, the rain's going to go away or this unit's going to run out of fuel. But again, that's more like a calculation and less like a sense of real time passing in your awareness of real time. So that's why the way we define skills and the subfacets are really important. So we don't just shove everything in one big bucket and be like, oh, it feels like timing. You're trying to figure out what time it happens. Like, don't do that. Like, read the definition, think about it, and use it to your advantage, not collapse it into nothingness. Pikmin, cool. StarCraft, real-time strategy. So it's a lot of the same kind of decisions you would make in a turn-based game, but because StarCraft is real-time, the situations that you have to adapt to is changing on the fly, and they have all kinds of things like macro and micro and dealing with your base composition, keeping that up, dealing with the individual units, controlling individual units or small armies of units. So it's pretty intense as far as real-time strategy goes. And they definitely have to walk a very fine line between how much you can leverage your knowledge and the different ways that different people can express themselves through their strategic compositions versus how well you can bend the line, fudge the situation, or gain other advantages by playing in the real-time aspects. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, that's such a neat game with a neat battle system. Skulls and Shogun, turn-based game. I thought it was alright, kind of fun, kind of weird. Subterfuge, nightmares, almost ended friendships. Not really. And Codename Steam, which is an okay game. Codename Steam uses spatial elements and real-time elements in that you're trying to aim at enemies in turn-based fashion, but the enemies are like breathing and swaying in real time, so to line up your shots you kind of have to take that into account, which is kind of neat. Could use a little bit more, it had a few issues, but that's okay. But yeah, games like chess, games like Advance Wars, they don't stress the entire skill spectrum. And as great as knowledge is, and as important as it is for supporting all the other skills, there's just no way for this one facet to be in to create the sort of variety and different types of expression that you see in these other facets. That's why they have their own category and color, and that's why turn-based games don't count as combat. We're not just talking about abstract game states. We're not just talking about general ways for players to get the advantage over each other. We're not just talking about things that are quote-unquote deep or interesting choices or have complexity to them. All that can be expressed fairly accurately with just knowledge, but we're talking about more than that. We're talking about all these other things, and I don't think there's a way that anyone can describe turn-based combat games as a way of expressing all of these subfacets, or even half of them. So for anyone who's experienced these things, you should know this pretty you should have a really good intuitive sense of this from first-hand experiences. Like, oh, when I play a sport, when I play a musical instrument, it's not like when I'm playing chess. And before you're too quick to jump to the idea like, oh, chess is more about the mental, like, I don't think that's how the skill spectrum works. We're going to talk a little bit more about how these facets bleed into each other and overlap, but in general, this is how you express yourself and your knowledge, and adding things to it doesn't take away from it. In the context of the game and what it values, as far as what its goal is and how that shapes gameplay, sure, some things can be more important than others, or investing in some skills may be more valuable than others, right? For a music rhythm game, valuing long-term memory, static timing, external timing, and maybe dynamic visual acuity, those may be the most important things, and you may not necessarily need much of this dexterity, except for Guitar Hero. You know, the finger grips, you need harmony, and you might need some speed. Power, probably not. Stamina, probably not, unless you're playing one of those Guitar Hero songs just like, you're just like, my arm hurts. You're like, yeah, well, that's Guitar Hero for you. Good luck. Oh, I didn't put on my list Taiko Drum Master or anything like that. I played that a little bit, and it was fun. Let me just pop it on. Music, rhythm, action. And Samba Amigo was fun. I played it on the Wii. Rented it once. I think it's like Taiko Drum Master. I haven't played Donkey Konga. Only at GameStop for like a few minutes. And I haven't played Rhythm Violence. What is that game called? It's on the Switch, and I kind of want to play it on VR, but that's enough for timing for now. We are short on time, but yeah, just about all these games, if they are real-time-ish or whatever, they're going to express timing in some way. We can compare the different types of challenges that these games, different types of ways these games stress timing skills. They're not all the same, they're not all equal, and they don't fit into the other ways they stress the skill spectrum evenly. So there's a huge conversation to have even once you embrace the system and use the language to describe what's going on. But we'll do that in the upcoming streams. This one we're keeping it relatively short and simple. And until next time, guys, peace.